Welcome to the Hottest Wellness Podcast. I've got time with Cherry and ShaKayla.
Here we discuss personal growth, relationships, and healing to become aligned with the best version of ourselves. So you want to jump into the affirmation of the week?
Let's do it.
This week's affirmation is, I know who I am.
Yeah.
Period.
Who are you?
I'm a lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Insert DMX song.
I feel like this is really affirming for a lot of people, especially people who have had a lot of life changes. And sometimes it feels confusing, especially when you like just went through a life change and it feels like, who am I right now? Like, you know what I mean? But inside, you know who you are. And also there's that agreement that you have with your higher self of who it is that you are supposed to become in this lifetime. You know what I mean? And so at all times, you know who you are. You know who you're working towards becoming. And so, like, just remind yourself of that when you might be feeling moments of uncertainty.
I know who I am. There's a song, but I'm trying to grab all the words. I'm going to come back later and sing it.
Okay. We'll be waiting. So this week for the main topic, we are discussing self-awareness. Do you feel like you're a self-aware individual?
I think I'm very self-aware. Maybe sometimes over aware. Well, is it over awareness, or is it at some point I stop being aware and just start critiquing?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's a better way to put it.
Self-awareness is kind of tricky because it's also like based on your perspective at any given moment of like who you are and like your environment and just what's happening in your life at that moment. Like, so it's like sometimes we might think that we being self-aware, but our judgment is so clouded that we really not seeing things for what they are or who we are in that moment, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lately I've been like, as soon as I think something, I feel myself starting to think like, well, why did you think that? What got you here? And then I start thinking about, I start trying to find the root of, why do you think like this? And it's like, all of this is happening in like 0.3 seconds in the middle of a conversation. It gets weird.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, that's definitely something I do all the time, you know? It's something that helps with my anxiety. And so I need that.
I don't know if it helps my anxiety. It helps me figure some stuff out, but yeah. The rabbit hole is like, well, what about this? Oh my gosh, did something happen to make us start thinking like this? Or why do you... Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very self-aware, and like you said, sometimes it can be not good, you know, because then at that point it's like I can get like stressed out because I know what I need to do. I know the things that are maybe creating challenges in my life that's self-imposed. And it's like I start to look at myself like, why you can't just do this? You know what you need to do. You know what advice you would give somebody else and stuff like that. And yeah, so self-awareness is healthy, but you don't want to like take it too far or whatever.
Let's try to give like a definition of self-awareness. Like, just in case somebody's hearing the conversation and they're like, okay, you're talking about it. So, like, what is it?
Mean? To me, self-awareness is being able to evaluate yourself and also follow up with the actions that's needed to grow. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's, yeah, being able to observe your thoughts and your behavior and how it affects the world around you.
I feel like for sure it's all about just being mindful, being present in each moment, and then, you know, actively trying to get to know and understand yourself. That's like self-awareness. Yeah.
Like battling definitions.
I feel like it was a journey for me to get to this space of where I am, of being able to have accountability for who I am, the choices that I make, and the people that I choose to have in my life, things like that. And there was certain situations where it was like similar situations repeated themselves, and it was like, okay, girl, this keep happening to you, so obviously you're the common denominator. What am I doing? What are my behaviors and actions that's like leading me to create these situations in my life? You know what I'm saying?
That part be hard. Coming to terms with the fact that it's you.
Yeah. It's a thing, you know what I'm saying? Because we can't take all of the responsibility for sure, because it takes two to tango, and that's just on period. Like, no one person is in a relationship making the relationship difficult and hard and being the bad friend or partner or whatever. It's both people at all times, all moments, and we always reflecting on each other. So the very thing you be complaining about that person doing to you, you low-key doing to them, and it's probably like in another way though, but you're projecting and you like literally don't know. And I think that is like something to be aware of, or that go hand in hand with self-awareness, is like realizing when you might be projecting or whatever.
Yeah, that's tough. I forgot what I was about to say. I was ready.
Sorry, I was talking for so long.
It wasn't you. I got lost in what you were saying.
Well, I was talking about taking accountability, so maybe you were saying something about that.
Maybe. Accountability is where it gets tough. I know for me it's like, well, now it's not that tough. Sometimes I miss it though. When I'm thinking about a situation and like what happened. And I'll sometimes start thinking about how I was affected by the situation versus what I did in the situation. And the accountability gets lost in there, and it's like it's kind of like my brain trying to push the accountability over there. It's like, no, but this is how you feel. Look at how this made you feel.
But that's the major key, and that's why we have to listen to ourselves and the words that we use when we expressing ourselves. And to me, that's going to get to the root of like why you having issues or whatever. And it's because you acting based off of your feelings. So our feelings are always valid, and it's okay to express them and communicate with them, but that doesn't make your feelings the truth. You know what I mean? So we need to learn and like consciously be aware of our feelings, and like, is how you feel about it actually what happened though?
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes time. Like sometimes you need to like marinate on experiences for you to realize that you had to take accountability too, or just even having that moment of, yeah, I wasn't being very self-aware. Like I had no clue. And we all been there, and we'll all be there again and again and again, because that's relationships. Like,
yeah,
as long as you in any relationship, which you gonna be, because you got parents, you got cousins and siblings
and coworkers,
and you go to work, and even if you don't work for somebody else, you probably got customers or clients. You're always constantly in relationships with people, and the best thing you can do is learn how to navigate yourself so you can understand yourself, and then you can meet other people like where they're at. Yeah, for sure. I definitely used to be in my feelings a lot, and like that's the thing. Like, you be so in your feelings that you can't really, like, see things for how they are or what's actually happening or even what would be the best response in the situation. Like, this is how I knew I was growing, when I started learning how to respond and react to stuff. It's like, I know that I'm being triggered by this. And instead of just being triggered and going off, I'm aware of my feelings and that it triggers me. And now I can take a deep breath and be like, respond, instead of just like go off of how I feel about it. Yeah. That's why I'm one of those people too that like to take my time communicating about stuff, and it do bother other people because they're like want to resolve it immediately. But like, one, it's not gonna get resolved, not with me, because I know myself, and I need to take that moment so that I can like clarify my feelings from like what actually is happening and have a appropriate response. Because like deep down inside, I'm toxic because I grew up in a toxic environment, and I'm constantly unlearning those behaviors. Like, and part of self-awareness is knowing that like you're not gonna change everything about yourself in a day, and also that you are whole right now. This version of yourself of who you are is who you need to be right now, and like that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You're just growing.
Yeah.
Like.
Okay.